Hello, 7th graders! You have made it to the last lesson in Chapter 5. Woohoo! 5.7, the last kind of transformation, is called a rotation. You probably have heard of it as a turn. The proper name is rotation. It's a transformation in which a figure is rotated about a point called the center of rotation. So basically we pick a point to kind of be the center, and we move this figure about it, or around it is the word I would use. Your book used the word about, and I thought it sounded fancy, so I included it. The number of degrees a figure rotates is called the angle of rotation. So we have the center of rotation, that's the point it's being turned around, and we have did I say center? The center of rotation is what it's turned around, and the angle, that tells me the number of degrees. So, the original figure and its image, yes, they have the same size and shape. So you're not really changing the figure, you're just changing its rotation. You're just moving it around. So here's our original shape. We have a lovely little arrow here. There's original. What we want to do now is take this original, and I separated this. Normally I'd keep it on the same coordinate plane and we could just kind of move it around, but I kind of want you to be able to identify what a 90-degree one looks like and separate out what a 180 looks like and what a 270 looks like. So that's why I have them all drawn separately. Okay, so if we want a 90-degree clockwise rotation around the origin, that means basically that I'm taking this quadrant and moving it around into this quadrant. The only point that's holding still is this 0, 0. So when you take your arrow, it's going to end up pointing that way. Now, if some of you are having a hard time visualizing that, then you're a lot like me. I have a hard time. I do really well with hands-on, with actually being able to see and touch. So here, I just cut out the arrow. And this is something that you could quite easily do yourself as well. And this is what I would suggest. So here it is. If I want a 90-degree clockwise rotation, we know 90-degree movement is like the L-shaped, right? I know that you've learned that. So 90-degree clockwise, clock goes this way about the origin. So it's like the origin is holding still, and I'm taking this and turning it like that. That's what it would look like. That's a 90-degree clockwise rotation about the origin. So basically, what was your x-axis right here is now your y. So in looking at this, what would be a good strategy, you think, to be able to draw this picture if you couldn't cut it out? Well, if I know that I'm moving 90 degrees and this is now that, then I'm just going to try to draw this picture where my x-axis is now my y. And here's what I mean, if that's not making sense. Grab my marker. If this line is now the same as this line, because we've moved that up to here, then that means to get from this point, if I'm on here, do you see how I have to go over 1, 2, 3, and then over 1? Well, on this axis now, I would go over 1, 2, 3, and then over 1. And that point matches with that one. To get to this point, we end up going over 5, and then another 1. So I can go over 5, and then another 1. You could also say, well, hey, I know this one's 2 away from that, and once you plot your first point, just use the picture. Like, for example, I know this is my base now. I can just look at the rest of the shape. To get this point, I'm just going 3 up from that one. So let's go 3 up from this one, and 3 up from this one. Then I see that this little piece of the arrow is over 1, and so is that one. So those would also be over 1, because I don't change the actual shape of anything. It's the same size and shape. And then I see that this point is right in the middle, or maybe I look at, oh, it's halfway between these points here, so halfway between these points here, and it's all the way up top. It would look like that. So there you have it. We just rotated that figure clockwise, 90 degrees. Sorry about that. Hopefully yours looks better than mine. Ugh. Let's get that off the screen because I can't handle it. There we go. Whew, all better now. Okay, now what you need to do is you need to rotate this 180 degrees clockwise about the origin. So the origin is still where it's holding still. So when you do 180 degrees, that's like 90 degrees twice. So we're going to end up in this quadrant right here because we're going 90 degrees and then another 90 degrees. So let's use our little cutout. See if we can visualize this. So if we're rotating it about the origin, that's where it's going to stay. Moving it like that. Right there, that's a 90 degree rotation. I need to go another 90 degrees for it to be 180. So we can see now that this is pointing downward, right? Okay, so if you don't have a little shape to cut out, and you didn't want to do that, look at it like this. Here's my x-axis, right? And I see how the arrow looks compared to the x-axis. It's pointing away from it just like that. If I rotate it 90 degrees, this would now be like my x-axis. And if I rotate it another 90 degrees, this is now like my x-axis, but it's flipped around. So where this was over 3 up 1, this is over 3 down 1. Where this was over 5 up 1, this is over 5 down 1. Once you have the base, like where you know that line's going to be, then again, you can just say, okay, well that one's 3 away from it, so draw 3 away, 3 away, 3 away. And I know those were 1 away, and this was smack dab in the center. And then we can fill our lines in. I'm going to use a ruler. I'm going to try to use a ruler again. Hopefully I don't mess up again. I'm using Sharpie. I can't make mistakes in Sharpie. It's a good thing you guys all use pencil. So there's a 180 degree clockwise rotation. Okay, last one we're going to do on this page, then we have 2 other examples, is a 270 degree clockwise rotation. So 270 is 90, 90, and another 90, because 9 times 3 is 27, so 90 times 3 is 270. So that means I want to do 90 degrees 3 times about the origin. So I would go 1, 2, 3. So it would end up pointing that way. So if you wanted to cut out a shape, or if you wanted to do a little sketch and say to yourself, well, I know when I move it this way, I'm going to use a pencil for this. I know when I rotate it this way, the arrow is going to point like that. And I know when I rotate it this way, now it's going to be pointing down. So now I know when I rotate this again, it's going to be pointing that way. That's another strategy that you can use. There's all kinds of different things you can do. So basically, just picture it like this. Here's my x-axis where it's pointing away from it. 270 degrees means I'm going to move it 3 times 90 degrees. So this is the bottom of my arrow. When I do this, that's the bottom of the arrow. When I do this, you can't see that. That's the bottom of the arrow. And when I do this, now this is the bottom of the arrow. So again, to get here, I went over 3 and up 1, so I'm going to go over 3 and up 1 again. And I know that one's 2 away, and these are 3 up from it, and the little other pieces were 1 away, and the tip was right in the center. So we can go ahead and connect those pieces. Hopefully one of the ways that I have shown you has clicked. I know my best way for my personal best is to actually use a cutout of the shape to visualize it. It also helps to just pick one focal point, one axis as you move around. Okay, a little bit more. Turn your page. Rotating a figure 1. So I don't give you the figure, but I tell you the vertices of the figure. Yep, so we have to make it ourselves. We're going to make a trapezoid. So the vertices of this trapezoid are W is -4, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left, up 2. That's my W. X is -3, 4. So 1, 2, 3 to the left, and 1, 2, 3, 4 up. There's my X. Y is -1, 4. So left 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4 up. And the last one we have is Z, which is -1, 2. So there's our Z. Alright, we're going to connect those. And that one's just not on a line. I don't trust myself to draw a straight line without a ruler. There we go. Even so, it still doesn't look perfect. Okay, so now I ask you to take this trapezoid, and I want you to rotate it 180 degrees clockwise about the origin. So here's the origin. It's the same kind of focal point as before. So we're going to rotate it, and then we need to list the coordinates of that image. So if we're rotating at 180 degrees, that means I'm moving 2 boxes, right? I'm going to do 90 degrees and then another 90 degrees. So let's picture this. Here's my x-axis, right? I have W and Z on my x-axis. When I move at the first 90 degrees, here's W and Z. When you move at the next 90 degrees, this should still be W, then Z. So move it and move it. So this right here, which is the bottom, is going to end up being the top in this quadrant. So to get to Z, I see that I went over 1 and up 2. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to go over 1, but then we're going to go down 2. So there's our Z. And then W is 1, 2, 3 away. So 1, 2, 3 away from that. Okay. Now, to get to X from W, here's our W, right? Oh, I forgot to put the little image thing. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you got it. You got me. Okay. To get from W to X, you're kind of going up 2 and inward 1. So let's do that. Let's go up 2 but inward 1. Now we're going to head in this direction. And then the Y is 2 away from the X. And those again are images. So, I'm going to try. Alright, straight enough. That's good. So right here, I've taken this. We moved it once. It was kind of standing up. We moved it twice. Now it's facing that way. We need to now list the coordinates of the image. So we have W, X, Y, and Z. We're going to list those ordered pairs, and we'll move on to one more, and then we can be done. I know, almost done with the whole unit. So exciting. Okay, here is W. W, to get there, we go 1, 2, 3, 4 on the x-axis, and we go down 2 on the y. To get to the x, we have to go 1, 2, 3 to the right, and down 1, 2, 3, 4, so that's -4. To get to y, we go right 1, and then you have to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. And to get to z, we go right 1 and down 2. Voila! That one's done. One more. Woohoo! I know, I'm burnt out. The vertices of a triangle are, so I give you the vertices of a triangle. We know we're going to have to make them, so let's make them. J, K, L. J is 1, 2, so over 1 up 2. K is 4, 2, so 1, 2, 3, 4 on the x-axis, and 2 on the y. And L is 1, -3, so I'm going to go right 1 and down 1, 2, 3. I'm going to connect these with the ruler. They're a little bit farther apart than my trapezoid was. Okay, there's our original. Now what we want to do is, this is going to be fun. We want to rotate this triangle 90 degrees about the vertex L. What are the coordinates of the new image? Okay, so we don't want to rotate it around the origin. Our center of rotation is now L. So this is the point that holds still while we move the shape. A 90-degree angle would look like that, so I'm still kind of moving it. So this is a vertical line. I want to make this vertical line now a horizontal line because we're only going 90 degrees. So rotate the triangle 90 degrees about the vertex L. All right, I'm going to get a different color here. Okay, so picture you're taking this, and now we're rotating it 90 degrees. How far away is J from L? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away. So I'm taking this line and moving it here. That means I'm going to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the new J, 5 away. And I guess this L is going to be kind of busy because it's the image and the regular L. So I'll use a different color to represent that. So again, I just took this line and rotated it 90 degrees. There it is. Now you can see that to get from J to K, there's a movement of 3. So I'm going to do a movement of 3. There's our new K. And now I just need to draw the line back to the L because I know it's a triangle, so we're all set. That's it. So we took this, we moved it. If you needed to have scrap paper and you need to make cutouts of these shapes and actually move them, please use that strategy. It's a strategy that I use. Even as a math teacher, I feel the need to use that. So we need to list the image here, the ordered pairs, so J, K, L. All right, so J, to get to J, from the origin, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we have to go down 1, 2, 3. To get to the new K, we go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the x-axis and down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the y. And L, we stayed in the same spot. We go right 1. We have to go down 1, 2, 3. All right, you are now done with Chapter 5. Go throw a party. See ya.